3, 2, 1. Stop that. Stop it.
Well, we got it.
He's already going.
Yeah. Okay, ready? Here we go. Welcome to the Business Hour. Today we're featuring the Better Business Bureau of Southern Colorado. We're discussing the growth of the cybersecurity industry in Colorado Springs. We'll talk about recent cyber attacks and the protective practices businesses can put in place. BBB of Southern Colorado talks about the recent statewide memorandum of understanding that it helped spearhead between the 3 Better Business Bureaus of Colorado and the Colorado Small Business Development Center Network. Jonathan Liebert, CEO and Executive Director, Better Business Bureau of Southern Colorado, will lead that discussion, and our guests for the first 2 segments include Mr. Rodney Gullatte Jr., who is CEO of Firma IT Solutions and Services, Mr. Jeff Beauprez, Senior Fellow, National Cyber Exchange, and of course owner of Colorado Networks and Evanix, IT engineering firm. Amy Gillentine Sweet, the wonderful editor and COO of the Colorado Springs Business Journal. Welcome everybody to the Business Hour studio. Along the way, we'll have our regular weekly updates, including the Pikes Peak Workforce Center Employers Update, the weekly Cyber Brief, this week delivered by Mr. Jeff Beauprez of the National Cyber Exchange, the Better Business Bureau Beat on the Street featuring the wonderful Gina Sacrapanti, and the PikesPeakSmallBiz.com Small Business Question of the Week. Getting us started, Mr. Jonathan Liebert, Better Business Bureau of Southern Colorado CEO, and his guests, Jeff and Amy and Rodney. It is all yours, Mr. Liebert, to lead this part of the discussion. Good stuff coming up.
Some great stuff coming up today. We have some fantastic guests in studio today, so we're very excited to have them here with us. Wanted to have a conversation today about cyber. So I know this is kind of an ongoing conversation, but just based on some of the conversation we were having before this segment, we were talking about just really the need that's out there specifically for small businesses to really make sure that they are following, the correct protocols and really making sure that they are secure. So we've got, obviously a number of different things that are happening in the community, which we'll talk about. But also want to talk just a little bit about the National Cybersecurity Center that's based here in Colorado Springs. So this is something that happened in about 2016, and John Hickenlooper's vision for the National Cybersecurity is twofold. One is to make Colorado the center for cyber in the U.S., and to create more workforce training opportunities at the states and colleges and universities. And so one of those primary elements of the NCC is the Rapid Response Center, which will help small to mid-sized businesses, nonprofits, and government agencies recover from cyber attacks. And this will include an information and sharing analysis organization and negotiating with the National Cyber Exchange, formerly called the Western Cyber Exchange, to provide those services to the NCC. So, all these parts of cyber are growing specifically here in our Colorado Springs area, and there's tremendous growth for this. This is obviously done because we can attract this from the military personnel who are here, who have this cybersecurity expertise. But this makes just for a wonderful environment for folks and talent to come here to the Springs area to develop this. So what I would like to do, just to kind of, so folks know who's here in the room today, is just do some quick introductions. So if you could, Jeff, we'll start with you. Just who you are, your business background, and the clients that you serve.
Well, thanks, Jonathan. Always glad to be here. Our group, we've actually formed in the Springs, almost 18 years ago now, spun out of a large, Fortune 10 company, as we found possibilities in the mid-market for security and things like that. Quickly grew out of the Colorado Springs area. We thought, there's much more market nationally. So our business, and Ted mentioned the Colorado Networks and Evanix are the primary ones. The Colorado Networks is Western U.S. and the Mississippi River is the dividing line. Evanix is East Coast and Europe. We're primarily engineering, doing a lot of the initial design, and then obviously a lot of security work these days.
Great, thanks, Jeff. We're happy to have you here today.
Always a pleasure to be here.
All right, thank you. Amy.
Hi, I'm the editor and COO of the Colorado Springs Business Journal, and we started last year really focusing on cybersecurity as both an industry that was growing in Colorado Springs and something that all businesses should pay attention to. So we've done a series of stories and columns and expert opinions basically for the past 18 months and have turned cybersecurity into one of the main beats at the paper because of its importance to business.
Really fantastic topic, and we're pleased to see that you guys are providing that information to our business community, so thank you so much. Our final guest, Rodney.
Hello, Colorado Springs. My name is Rodney Gullatte. I am a proud Air Force veteran and proud Air Force spouse. I own Firma IT Solutions. We're a managed information technology and cybersecurity service provider in Key West, Florida, and the beautiful Colorado Springs. So we help small and medium-sized businesses outsource their IT and cyber so they can focus on what they do best to make money, and I can focus on what I do to help them keep from being breached in the future.
Thank you, Rodney. We're happy to have you here as well. First question for the group. Really want to know what you guys think is happening here in Colorado Springs as it relates to being the National Cybersecurity Hub. So just talk a little bit about that, and then specifically, if you could, with the governor's vision of having this be the center for this, is it on track? Some thoughts about that.
Good question, Jonathan. I'm have to think about it just a little bit. It's still in its formative stages. There's a lot of work going on. They're trying to get the building finished up in North Nevada and work out the details of what is going to be there, who's going to be in there. There's lots of discussions around that. NCX, as far as we know, is still going to be part of that because, as we say, we're the operational side. But it's a little too soon to tell. I really think it's going to take a couple more years. And some of the early discussions before this program, we were talking about, did they get adequate funding? They're doing some work on the building, but there's a lot of equipment that's going to have to go into that. And some of that discussion is whether we're going to move our data center as well. So probably a little too soon to tell, to answer your question.
Yep. So Jeff's point of view is very educational for me. I'll be here 2 years in August. I'm very happy to have got the best in business. It's awesome. For a cybersecurity company. From my point of view, this city has done a pretty nice job at making sure cybersecurity is a big buzzword here. Like I said before, I have operations in Key West, Florida, and they don't know what's happening down there with cyber. That's not a word that's getting thrown around a lot. So I think that effort on behalf of the leadership from the top down here has helped make people aware of the threat. So at least they know, so we can start a conversation from that point.
So the National Cybersecurity Center has actually put out a call for volunteers, and not just in the cyber arena, but in other areas. They're looking for everything from interior design help to build out help, things like that. So they're asking for volunteers, and they're taking grants to sort of make up that budget shortfall from the state level. So I think that they're on the right track, but it is going to take everybody in Colorado Springs to really get them up and going really strongly.
So as it relates to just the marketplace right now for cyber, is there anybody that's kind of currently the leader in this space that you guys frequently work with, talk to, speak about?
And when you ask for leader, Jonathan, you're talking about other companies or groups locally? I understand your question first.
Really just kind of from the national perspective. What do you see? Who are the leaders in the market? From security perspective, the FortiGates are out there. It's a company that we work with a lot. Cisco certainly. Symantec is a leader. Another group called ESET, very heavily involved in the side portion of that. But Symantec is kind of leading the way in some of the software side of that, and that's been a good one. So those are probably the major players, and then there's lots and lots of other ones that, I hesitate only, I tell our client base, I have no loyalties. It's either hardware or software, and if they're not serving the client, then next. So. Right, exactly. Well, great. Well, next question we'll talk about here in a moment is talking about workforce. So as a new, kind of developing entity specifically here in Colorado Springs, want to ask the question about, do we have the correct workforce for that? So we'll come back to that in a moment.
Let's take a quick break, Jonathan and all. Thank you so much for being here today in the Business Hour studios. Up next, a couple of messages from Business Hour sponsors, the Pikes Peak Workforce Center Employers Update, and when we come back, more on cyber from Jonathan Liebert, Jeff Beauprez, Rodney Gullatte, and Amy Gillentine Sweet of the Colorado Springs Business Journal. This is the Business Hour on KRDO News Radio. We'll be right back.